just phenomenal. I mean, it's just crazy. It's like the bar just gets raised so high. But, talking to some other friends, it's like, yeah, it's almost about the technique, just better and better technique. But I always think, man, do you lose that feel, that soul, that you have to emulate as a musician, as opposed to just being the fastest or, of course, I'm envious when I see some of these, like a 14-year-old kid that I'm like, geez, well, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that. But I love, though, one time I was there was an event that used to be held in Dallas. It was called Drummers for Jesus. And they would have like a lot of like celebrity drummers. Tommy Aldridge, who played for Whitesnake, and Ozzy Osbourne, who's a Christian now, and just a bunch of drummers. And there was one guy, his name was Nathaniel Townsley, and he's more of like a gospel R&B drummer, just fantastic player. And he got up there, and I remember he said, I'm sure a lot of you drummers out there are kind of blown away by some of these young drummers that you're seeing up here that are just ferocious. He goes, but don't let that discourage you. He goes, because only you can be you. God's given you a gift, and they can't be you, but you can be you. And that like struck me. I was like, wow, man, that is profound, because you can. I mean, you watch some of these videos, and as a musician, you kind of at first get like discouraged, like, good Lord, the bar's way past me now. But I think for me, it helped me to go, well, you know what? I know the gift I have. I just have to be the best I can be at what I have. And I have drum students, and, you hopefully get that through to them. Like, don't sacrifice technique for feel and groove and the soul of what you want to put out there.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned Tommy Aldridge, and I'm probably going to come back around a little bit later. I'm going to ask you about some other drummers and just kind of who your favorites are. But you mentioned Tommy, and I love the fact that he's a Christian. He's clear about that. Whenever he finishes a solo now in Whitesnake, he throws up he puts his drumsticks up in the shape of a cross.
Yeah.
Here's my question, and this is really just a personal one for me, because I've wondered about this, and I enjoy Whitesnake. I really enjoy a lot of their music, but I also have to be fair about that and honest about that. Some of their lyrics, let's be honest, are not so edifying, right?
Right.
And there are certain songs that at this point in my life I can't sing along with in the car, just because I'm going, I can't do that anymore. I don't know if you've ever talked with Tommy, or if you have any thoughts about this yourself. How does a Christian, who may be the lone Christian in a band that's playing secular music, and some of the songs are not God honoring, maybe decidedly so, how do you do that? How does Tommy do that? How does he play on that song, knowing that the lyrical content is not honoring the God that he serves? How do you think he handles that?
Yeah, I've thought the same thing, and I've watched some interviews with him, and he said that he kind of gets, for lack of better words, beat down by, a lot of Christians for staying in that environment. And he goes, I just feel God's put me, this is the job place that God's got me at. And he said, I just try and be the best example of a Christian that I can be, to these people that might not step foot in a church. And they would ask him questions like, well, what do you do? Are you preaching to them? And I thought it was interesting. He goes, no, I'm not going to go like start reading Bible verses to them, because he goes, that probably wouldn't go anywhere. But I can, I live my life as a Christian. They know what I'm about. And he goes, it kind of prompts them to start asking him questions. Like, so man, what's your deal? How come you're a Christian? What? And he goes, that's where God can like really use me. And I was like, wow, man, that's really cool.
Yeah, that
he
is
seems,
cool.
yeah, he seems very genuine. But I thought that too. I'm like, I'm sure that's got to be hard for him. When there's certain songs that he's like, going, oh man, yeah, that's not cool.
Well, and I'll just say this here, just with you guys and whoever else may end up listening all over the world to this podcast. But I love David Coverdale's voice. Just I
Oh,
love
me
it,
too.
love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
And I can't say I've done this like every day, certainly not. But over the years, I have prayed for David.
Yeah.
Because I'm going, a guy whose voice I appreciate so much, I want him to know the Lord. And I've looked at some of the lyrics that, especially in some of the early days, and there's some of the things that he's written. I'm going, I bet you this guy at least went to church as a kid. There's little things in some of his songs. I'm going, this guy knows some stuff about the faith. And I have no idea what he practices now, but if Tommy's in that band and can maybe be a light to him and the other bandmates, and of course, the fans and so forth, that's absolutely fantastic.
Exactly. I mean, because he's one of my favorite drummers, and you can just tell that those guys respect him. I mean, Tommy's got a lot of credentials, so you know that they're up to him. So and so they've got to be like, I would think, okay, you know what? Maybe there is something to this Christianity. So yeah, I know it's got to be hard for him, but God bless him, man. I just pray all the best for him.
Well, man, if I'm going to go ahead and charge with another one just because it ties into that, and then
go ahead, sir.
We'll throw it back to you. But so I'm going to throw out some names to you, Michael, and not asking you to say, oh yeah, I really like that guy. Oh man, I think that guy's terrible. Obviously, we're not asking for that, but just in terms of you as a drummer, you as a fan, what do you think of, and who do you just really like? I'm going to throw out some names: Bill Ward, Cozy, Tommy Aldridge, Ian Pace, John Bonham, Vinny Appice, Peter Criss. Go.
Big fan of John Bonham and Ian Pace. I mean, those, especially John Bonham. I got into John Bonham a little bit later on, just the feel that guy had, and combined with the technique, and he was just a monster. And Ian Pace is, man, he was so influential to me. The fast snare rolls that he had, and just that fiery drumming. I didn't get into Bill Ward as much. Respect him, but I wasn't a big Black Sabbath fan, so I didn't really know a lot about his drumming. Peter Criss, I was a big fan as a young kid. You get older, and I'm like, you respect him for what he was about, but as a drummer, like later on, I was like, I think my head was like, wait a minute, who's this guy, Neil Peart? So, I was like, so then it was like, gosh, everybody else suffered by comparison after that.
Wow.
Cozy Powell. Wow, I really liked Cozy a lot. And it's so funny, me and Rex will talk about some of these players, and he's like, I always thought Cozy Powell rushed a lot when I'd hear his stuff. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, that guy got hired by all the best.
Wow. So one of the things that I've always been curious about, when I was in high school, and that's one of the reasons why I was into going to so many concerts. I was a guitar player, and I played in a couple local bands, and I had my eyes set on I'm going to hit the road someday, just like these guys do. And never really got past my first demo tape when I was in college, and then God called me a complete different direction. Um, but just curious, what was that lifestyle like for you? The whole touring idea, the whole recording idea. Steve and I have talked to artists, and I tell this story often that I was going to a Petra concert one time, and there were some guys out screaming, saying we were sinners as we walked in. You were around that same time. Did you run into anything like that? What were some of the highlights of the lifestyle, and what were some of the challenges that you ran into?
Um, yeah, wow, that's good. I can remember getting that call that we were in Whitecross and thinking, wow, and then actually going out on tour and people are coming up and, you know, coming to see you play and then wanting an autograph. I was like, I felt like, I'm like, is this real? And it was just so bizarre to me. Um, and like some of the real highlights, um, like as far as maybe like shows, where we played in Brazil. We got asked to do a show called the SOS show in Rio, and then Rio and then Sao Paulo, and it was at a soccer stadium. It was like this. I think they had like a bunch of Brazilian bands, and White Cross and Bride were the two American bands that were performing. And I remember we played it a Friday and a Saturday night. And Friday, I'm like thinking, there's no way, is this place going to fill up? I remember asking the promoter, he was like, oh yeah, this place is going to be full. And I'm like, yeah, there's no way. And so he brought me out from the back of the stage and walked me kind of up the seats at the back of the stadium. And I was just like, almost couldn't breathe. I just looked out and there was just a sea of people.
Wow.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like thinking, God, I can't believe you're using me, to play out. And, so it was just an amazing experience,
Hmm.
but it's funny because they were thinking we were kind of like Bon Jovi. And I remember them asking, at the time I was living with like three other guys in a two-bedroom apartment, four other guys actually, and car was like not running so well. And I remember one of the newspaper reporters were like, well, this is easy for you guys because you're famous and you're rich and all that. Like, wait a minute, no.
Yeah.
But it was great though. And then it's just mind-boggling too when you see people coming forward and giving their lives to Jesus,
Hmm.
and it's like, man, because I see all the imperfections in myself and like, God, why did you use me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Hmm.
it's so humbling and just so rewarding.
One of the things that I've noticed specifically about you, and Steve and I have been talking about this, was it's pretty clear from what the research we've done that you're not just a drummer, that you're a versatile musician. And one of the things that I think about with that, you're with White Cross and you're with King James, and of course you do have the constant there with Rex. Uh, and Butch. But what was it? What was it like, or what is it like to drum for different bands? And and it's as I can see here that it isn't usually like you have 5 years with one band, 5 years with another, but it could be something much closer than that. That you have to be ready to go. To play for this band, and then you go to play for this band. What's it like as a drummer to have to do that?
It's exciting. It's a lot of work because I want to like do the best job I can do. I was a huge fan of Bloodgood. Like when I accepted Christ and started getting into Christian music, it was Blood, Good, and Strife.